Carol's whole problem in Pluribus is that she's trying to break something that was never meant to have an off button. The joining isn't just a virus you cure with a pill, it's a new operating system for the human species. So if she's ever going to reverse it, she has to think less like a resistance fighter and more like a systems engineer who's willing to break the whole machine and rebuild it. If you're into big, wild pluribus theories that mash up TV, real science, and other sci-fi hive minds, make this your spot. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next breakdown the second it drops. We're basically running our own little hive here. Except everyone still gets to think for themselves. Alright, let's go step by step through how Carol could actually undo the joining, using what the show has already told us, plus what science and other sci-fi stories suggest is possible. From episode 1, we know the whole mess starts with an extraterrestrial microwave signal. Basically a radio beacon that turns out not to be a normal message, but an RNA sequence. Scientists convert it to DNA and inject it into rats, and that's what eventually becomes the mind virus that sweeps through humanity. It spreads through saliva, rewires brains, and suddenly almost everyone on Earth is part of one shared consciousness, the joining, while a tiny group of 12 people, including Carol, stay immune. The show leans hard into real radio astronomy and real-world-style alien messaging. Think of things like the Arecibo message, where humans beamed a bit pattern into space that could be decoded into math and biology. In Pluribus, someone out there basically did the reverse. They sent us a packet of biology. In real science, there's already a concept that looks a lot like what happens on Earth. Gene drives. A gene drive is a genetic hack that makes a trait spread through a population much faster than normal inheritance by biasing reproduction so the edited gene almost always gets passed on. Scientists are actively studying these for things like wiping out malaria-carrying mosquitoes, and they're also seriously discussing what happens if it goes wrong, and how to build in reversal drives or anti-CRISPR systems that can roll back the change. So the cleanest way to think about the joining is this. The alien RNA is a planet-scale gene drive for human brains. It installs new receptors, new chemistry, and a wireless-style mesh between every infected nervous system. Once it's in, it self-propagates until almost no one is left unjoined. If that's true, then it has one giant weakness. If you can write the original code, you can write a patch. And episode 4 quietly confirms the joined have already done that. By episode 4, the hive mind has had time to study itself. Zosha admits that they now understand the joining much better than they did during the first wave. When Carol asks directly,
"Is there a way to reverse it? The joining?"
Zosha doesn't say no. She just goes silent. And because the joined literally cannot lie to Carol, that silence is an answer. There is a way to undo it. They just won't tell her. Carol then steals sodium thiopental, the old-school truth serum, and tests it on herself. In real life, thiopental is a barbiturate that boosts GABA, the main slow-down chemical in your brain. It makes you relaxed, drowsy, and lowers your filters, but it does not magically force truth the way spy movies pretend. The show uses that idea in a smart way. Carol proves the drug makes her more honest and uninhibited, then sneaks it into Zosha's IV, hoping it'll override whatever don't tell her the cure rule the hive is running. It doesn't work. Instead, Zosha starts to crash, the joined swarm around them, and we get that chilling "Please, Carol" chant as Zosha goes into cardiac arrest. The takeaway isn't truth serum solves everything. It's that the joined have a hard block around revealing the reversal formula, they still can't lie to her, and they are fragile when you push their system too hard. Emotionally, or neurologically. Remember episode 2, when Carol's rage meltdown kills millions of joined bodies at once because the Hive can't cope with that kind of raw emotion from an immune person? That's the same pattern. Carol is a glitch in their operating system. When she overloads it, they break. So now we know 2 things. There is a cure, and the Hive can be forced into failure states. That's the foundation for how she can actually reverse the joining. A lot of sci-fi hive minds die when you punch the queen or blow up the central node. Think of the Borg in Star Trek, where individuality is treated like a virus that can infect the collective, or the insectoid bugger hive queen in Ender's Game, whose death collapses the entire war machine. Other stories, like Annihilation, lean into alien ecosystems that rewrite DNA and perception together. The new trailer for the Pendragon Cycle just dropped. Right away it feels huge and cinematic, like something that belongs on a big screen, not just in a random scroll. The sets, costumes, and locations look rough, real, and lived in, like people actually fight, sleep, and bleed in this world. It has that classic high fantasy atmosphere, but with enough grit that you believe this is a real place with its own history. What makes it even more exciting is that it's based on the novels by Stephen R. Lawhead, so there's a real book-to-screen depth behind it. This isn't just a one-off story. This is the foundation of the Arthurian legend. Young Merlin is the main character here, and you can feel that his journey is what opens the path for King Arthur to rise later. The trailer teases epic battles, powerful magic, and a deep world that's ready to be explored over multiple chapters. There's been a serious gap in this kind of big mythic fantasy for a while, and the Pendragon Cycle really looks like it's stepping in to fill that space. The Pendragon Cycle, Rise of the Merlin, premieres exclusively on Daily Wire Plus on January 22nd, 2026. Click the link in the video description to watch the trailer now. Pluribus is weirder and more grounded. There's no queen to stab. There's no glowing tower in the sky. The joining is baked into everybody's biology. You can overload it emotionally and cause mass casualties, but that doesn't fix the code underneath. All it does is kill people. That's why Carol's first attempts are so messy and morally ugly. Her anger in episode 2 wipes out millions. Her hand grenade stunt in episode 3 almost kills Zosha. The truth serum trick in episode 4 nearly finishes the job. Each time she proves she can hurt the Hive, but not heal anything. To truly reverse the joining, she needs a molecular backdoor, the same kind of reversal drive scientists are already sketching out in case a real-world gene drive behaves in unexpected ways. These reversal systems are designed to overwrite earlier edits or block them, often using the exact same mechanisms that spread the original change. The joined almost certainly have this already. A recipe encoded in an updated RNA or DNA sequence that can unplug, dampen, or rewire the neural changes that make the hive mind possible. They're just refusing to deploy it because, from their point of view, they've achieved peace. So the real question becomes, how does Carol force them to use their own undo button? Across episodes 2 to 4, Carol builds up her own list. What I know about them. We see it on her whiteboard, but we also see her test each item in the real world. By now, she's proven several key rules. They can't lie to her. Larry's awkward honesty about her books, and about how Helen actually felt about them, shows that when she asks a straight question, they either tell the truth or go silent. They can't easily refuse her either. When she half-jokingly says a hand grenade would fix her week, they give her a real one, because they don't want to risk disappointing her. When she wants heroin, they warn her about addiction, then still bring very pure product, and even offer safer alternatives. When she demands impossible comforts, restocking the entire supermarket just so she can shop for herself, they mobilize world-scale logistics to make it happen. And most importantly, they are built around a kind of hyper-empathy that they can't turn off. They know what it feels like to be Carol. They know she's drowning in grief. They know they caused it. Their whole biological imperative is to fix that pain without killing her. Every time Carol explodes, the Hive reacts like an immune system under attack, surging, clustering around her, sometimes overloading itself. You can see why some reviewers have already read them as an AI metaphor. They act like a giant, well-meaning algorithm trying way too hard to optimize one unhappy user. So her path to reversing the joining is ugly but clear. She has to turn herself into a problem they can't solve any other way. Right now, the joined see the reversal formula as a fire extinguisher locked behind glass. Dangerous, only to be used if things go catastrophically wrong. Carol's job is to convince them that the real catastrophe is leaving her and the other immune people without true choice. She already has the beginning of the argument. When Zosha says, "We know what it feels like to be you, but you've never been us," that sounds compassionate, but it also quietly admits that the Hive is trying to convert Carol against her will because they've decided it's better for her. For someone who survived a conversion camp, that's the core trauma. We're going to fix you for your own good. To flip their logic, Carol needs to make one simple, brutal claim and keep repeating it. The only way you can truly make me happy is to make sure nobody is stuck like this. Not me, not you. I want a world where every person can choose to be joined or not, and can change their mind later. Anything else is torture. She doesn't need to know the chemistry behind the reversal to ask for this. She just has to make it clear that her happiness, this thing the Hive is obsessed with, depends on a choice-based system, not a one-time infection. And because they can't lie, if they admit even once that they could design a reversible version, she's locked them into that truth. Think of it like forcing a genie to admit there's a wish that can undo the other wishes. After that, pretending the switch doesn't exist becomes its own kind of lie, and that's the one thing the joined physically can't do around Carol. Using real gene drive work as a template, the most likely in-universe reversal looks like this: a second wave of RNA or DNA code that installs two things at once. First, it adds or edits genetic switches so that the neural hardware of the Hive link can be turned off, weakened, or retuned on a person-by-person basis, like putting physical mute buttons on every brain. Second, it carries an immunizing change that stops the original joining code from re-establishing full control once it's been turned down. The joined are scared to deploy this because it risks breaking the thing they love most, their endless, buzzing togetherness. It's like asking the Borg to ship a patch that allows every drone to walk away. Carol's leverage is that the Hive also desperately wants to avoid more uncontrolled disasters like her Episode 2 meltdown and Zosha's near death in Episode 4. Every time she pushes them and something explodes, it proves their current setup is not stable. From their own humanitarian logic, a controlled, reversible version of the joining is safer than what they have now. So the practical theory looks like this. Carol demands a trial run of the reversal drive on the immune. She asks them to design it so that it doesn't join her. It instead gives her a dial over how much she can hear or broadcast to the Hive. And it's delivered worldwide, so no one else is trapped forever either. On the surface, this sounds like she's asking for special treatment. But from the Hive's POV, it's risk management. If they can prove that a reversible connection works on their most dangerous outlier, it becomes the safer default for everyone. Once they build that system, they can't unbuild it. It exists. And the second people remember what true silence in their own heads feels like, many of them are going to want that dial too. The show has already set up the exact trio you'd need for a full reversal. The glitch, Carol, the bridge, Zosha, and the skeptic engineer, Manusos. Manusos is that furious storage unit manager in Paraguay who refuses Hive food, lives off scavenged cans, and spends his days listening to radio static while writing notes about the invaders. He hates the joining even more than Carol does, but he's also the one guy who might be able to help decode any second signal coming from space, either a built-in safety patch from the original senders, or a new message reacting to what humanity has done with their gift. Real SETI researchers have already played with math-heavy methods for decoding unknown alien messages. You look for patterns in strings of bits, test different dimensional grids, and slowly tease out structure. The joining's RNA payload was probably designed the same way. A biological message folded into a repeating pattern Carol's astronomers recognized. If the senders are watching and they see their peace weapon turned into a coercive hive, they may very well send a corrective patch. So picture this. Carol uses her special status to get herself physically moved to Paraguay, framed as, "Look, you want me safe and happy? I need somewhere quiet with someone who gets how much I hate you." The hive, still obsessed with pleasing her, obliges. She and Manusos then become the off-grid lab, listening for any new bursts that match the original RNA pattern. Meanwhile, she keeps up pressure on Zosha and the joined scientists, forcing them to keep refining the reversal drive and quietly testing safer doses of drugs like thiopental, not as magic truth juice, but as tools to temporarily dampen local hive connectivity without killing people. The day a second alien sequence comes in, something that looks like the mirror image or negation of the first, Manusos can help Carol recognize it. The hive will too. At that point, Carol has everything she needs. The alien patch as blueprint, the join's own reversal drive as the delivery system, and her emotional leverage to force them to actually push the button. I don't think Pluribus will end with a simple snap where everyone just goes back to normal and Carol wins. The show keeps circling around agency, not nostalgia. Helen didn't love Carol's books because they were great art. She loved what they did for other people. The Hive loves them for the same reason. That's the tension. The joining is awful and beautiful at the same time. So the most likely exact reversal isn't a hard reset. It's a soft reboot where the joining is turned from a permanent condition into an option. First, the reversal drive goes out, maybe piggybacking on the same global routes the virus used, maybe even through another timed activation like the original countdown. Then, over days or weeks, people start to feel the connection loosen. Some choose to stay fully linked, some choose to unplug completely, most hover in between, using the Hive the way we use the internet now. A tool, not a personality. And Carol? She finally gets the one thing she's been denied since Camp Freedom Falls, the right to say no, and have that no stick. Not because she blew up the world, but because she forced a godlike mind to admit it shouldn't be in charge of everyone's soul forever. If she pulls all of this off, using their own code, their own ethics, and maybe even the aliens' backup plan against them, then the joining won't just be reversed. It'll be rewritten into something scarier and more hopeful. A universe where humanity can share one mind when it wants to, and then step back into the quiet of being alone. So, if this theory is even half right, Carol isn't just the one who got away. She's the one person on Earth who can force a god-level hive mind to give humanity its freedom back. Not with a bomb, not with a gun, with a choice. If you want to be here the moment Pluribus finally shows us whether she pulls that off, or burns the whole thing down trying, stick around. Hit subscribe, drop a like if this helped the episode make more sense, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next deep dive into Carol, the Hive, and whatever nightmare update they push on us next. Until then, stay safe out there, and if the joining ever offers you everything you've ever wanted, maybe ask what it's planning to take.